Hi guys. Hello. I almost decided to scrap this video idea and hold it off until later because right now I am in the middle of a massive overhaul. I swear I don't do this on purpose, but I charge my lights and I set them up and then I start to film and the lights die. Almost every time. I don't even know why I bother with the lights anymore. Clearly I need to get new ones. Anyway, I'm in the middle of doing a massive overhaul on all of my animals' enclosures. So due to that, I was going to shelf this video idea until all of that was done. But I was thinking about it and it has been so long since I've done like an intricate up close video of all of my animals' setups. I genuinely think the last time I went through every single enclosure was like 2018. So at this point, as far as I know, you might be under the impression that all my animals are still in the same setups as they were back then, when most of them were babies. So they were mostly in their like baby setups, which were basically very minimalistic, just so I could monitor and make sure they're eating, pooping, shedding. And then once I learned more about like each of the animal's specific needs, like if they liked to explore more, if they were more nervous, whatever the case may be, I modified the enclosures to suit their needs. But I don't know if I've ever really shown any updates on their enclosures since way back then, other than like an occasional enclosure build. So I wanted to go ahead and go through everyone's enclosures. Now there are a couple animals right now that are in the process of getting new enclosures. So those enclosures, I don't really have anything to show for them, but I'll still discuss them. I'm mostly just going through everyone's finished enclosures right now. In fact, one of the animals that I show today has an enclosure on the way currently. So the enclosure you see today will literally be different in a few days, but it's gonna take me several months to do this big overhaul. I still gotta pay rent, you know? I still gotta make sure I have enough money set aside to cover their current needs. So the new enclosure rollout will be gradual. Also, today's video is more just about the enclosures, not each specific animal. I do discuss which enclosure is for which animal, but I'm not taking every single animal out and talking about them today. It's more about their enclosures. I also figured it would be fun to like show the enclosures they're in right now. So when they do get their enclosure upgrades this year, that you guys can see the differences. I'll basically just make this video again when all their enclosures are updated. So with that being said, let's get into it. We're gonna start with Salem, who has gotten an enclosure upgrade, but the enclosure is very barren right now, at least in my opinion. There's a lot I want to still add to it, but let's start here and just go through everything. So starting with Salem's cage, he did just recently get this cage. The reason I say it's kind of barren is because there is a lot on the bottom, but there's not a lot going on up top. Salem is a super chill king snake. He's not like any other king snake I've ever worked with. He definitely doesn't climb around as much as other king snakes. He is way more laid back, but I am definitely still gonna fill it up, so the climbing is available to him. Next up, we have Tofu's enclosure. Once he grows a little bit more, he will be getting the same enclosure that Salem currently has. But for now, I did build a back wall for this enclosure. It has a bunch of cork rounds attached to it for climbing, and there is a piece of wood attached to the back in the middle as well. For now, Tofu really does seem to love this enclosure. He uses every little bit of it. Next up is Iroh's enclosure. This is technically my boyfriend's snake, but we've been living together for 2 years, so I mean, it's technically my snake now too. We mainly utilize the space to provide a lot of areas to hide. Then we have Astrid, who is also technically my boyfriend's snake, but since these two cages are a part of the snake room, I figured I would include them. This one is Boomy's setup. He is a baby, a tiny little baby. So he is in a baby setup where I can easily track him and keep watch of him. Once he goes through his little growth spurt this year, he will be out of this little baby enclosure. Next up are my adult ball pythons. I got all of these guys between 2017 and 2019, so they are all big now. I think these enclosures are the ones that confuse people sometimes because, yeah, they're tubs. They're not technically enclosures, but when you think about it, all enclosures are just boxes. Some are just designed to look a little bit prettier, you know? I found that these tubs hold humidity super well, and they provided plenty of space for a warm side, a cool side, a humid area, and a bowl. I will be swapping in these tubs for the more typical enclosure, just really for my own sake, because it looks a lot better than having tubs. But I honestly think size-wise, these have been perfect for most of my adult ball pythons. The two that are going to be getting an upgrade first are Maui and Louie. They are my biggest ball pythons by far. They are so much bigger than my other ball pythons. I did even take them to the vet and got them sexed there because I was starting to have doubts that they were actually males. But they are. But these two guys are so much bigger than my other ball pythons that they're gonna come first in getting the cage upgrades. Louie in particular is so strange for a ball python. He never balls up and he never hides. He loves to explore, he loves to climb, so he's gonna be getting an enclosure with a lot of height to it so he can fully explore. I figured whatever enclosure I do get for Louie will also be the one that I get Maui, just because they are so similar in size. Next we have my ball python Motley, who I pretty much only call Chip. So it's Chip, but he was given to me by a friend in 2019, and he is a spider ball python. That morph in particular is known to have a neurological disorder that is colloquially known as a wobble. It makes it pretty hard for them to navigate in open spaces, so he has always done better in a more concentrated area where he can more easily navigate between the parts of his enclosure. Next up we have Echo's enclosure. Now, Echo was the very first reptile I ever got. Now that he's getting older, I wanted to go all out and get him this mansion of an enclosure, but I didn't realize how big this enclosure was until it arrived, and I might have gone overboard. So for now, I've kept the enclosure a little more barren because I want to make sure he can find his food. We're still monitoring the situation. If it's too big, we're gonna swap out. Next on the list though, we have my baby gargoyle gecko. This is just his baby setup to make sure he's finding his food. Once he gets a little bigger, he will be out of there. Next up, we have my Pac-Man frog Shu. Now Shu doesn't do a whole lot. They are sit and wait predators, so he is constantly just burrowed in the dirt, waiting for food to find its way to his mouth. Next up, we have Sideshow Bob's enclosure. He is next on the list of geckos to get an upgrade, so that is coming very soon. And then right next to him is my lychee gecko Pickle. Above those two enclosures are my boyfriend's geckos and an old empty cage that I'm throwing out. In this same room, we also have my blue tongue skink Bindi. Now Bindi's enclosure is designed for a few things. For her to bask, for her to eat, and for her to sleep. Enrichment wise, she likes to come out and explore. She loves roaming the house with me, and she loves cuddling up with me. She's a very simple little girl, or I guess big girl. She was one of my very first animals, so. After that, we have Bug's enclosure. Bug is my Malagasy cat-eyed snake. Now, Bug's new enclosure is on the way right now. Honestly, she has done great in this setup so far. She has eaten great and shed great consistently, but it has been a nightmare keeping her humidity consistent in this enclosure. Somehow I've managed to do it, but I am just so ready for this new enclosure that will hold humidity so much better. Then we have Buttercup's enclosure. Buttercup is a very interesting sand boa. If it wasn't for my own intervention, you would never see Buttercup. You would not know Buttercup exists. But even though she has the word sand in her species name, sand can sometimes be dangerous for baby Kenyan sand boas because they can ingest it and it could get impacted in their system. There are certain kinds of sands that you can mix with topsoil and create a good environment for them that way, but I have been waiting for her to get a little bigger before I trust her to live in the sand. Aspen holds up her tunnels really well, and she has really liked it so far. She does have a little sand pit if she really wants to get in the sand, but for her first year of life, so far she has spent all of her time digging in the aspen. She does not use the hides, she goes underneath the hides. The decoration is really just for my own amusement. She doesn't care. She just wants to burrow. But once she gets a little bigger, we will be doing an enclosure upgrade and trying that topsoil and sand mix. I also have a roach colony. I decided to mention this because I am not breeding them for food. I have a really bad habit of feeling horrible about feeding live insects to my reptiles. So whenever I try to keep them, to breed them and feed them to my reptiles, I end up just wanting to keep the insects. Now keep in mind, a couple of my animals right now are literally in the process of being moved to their new enclosures, so I didn't have their enclosures to show today. The way I like to do it is if I'm moving a snake into a new area of the house, or if I'm moving them to be near other snakes that they weren't previously close to, I like to put them in like a quarantine setup while I work on building their new enclosure. That way I can just make sure that they're good and healthy before I move them near a bunch of other snakes, you know? But everyone else is in some enclosure and they will be getting a new one soon. I am so excited to get everyone their new enclosures. It's gonna be such a fun project this year, but yeah, that's everyone for now. I completely forget how to do thumbnails. Wow. Look at this. Whoa, can you believe that? Look at that thing. Whoa. Whoa, look at that thing. That's not the right angle. Whoa. Oh my god. Look at that. I don't know. Hopefully I got one that I can use.